So go ahead and think back on every major decision you ever made in your life. How many of those choices were actually your decisions to make in the first place? And then how many of those decisions were just picked because they were the easiest option? It could be anything. It could be the school you went to, the job you picked. You could be driving home from work, don't feel like cooking, you decide to grab McDonald's, right? And this is fine when it's small stuff like that, but if you're somebody that constantly starts to do this every single day for every single decision, eventually you get to the point where you lose the ability to fight against that resistance of just picking the easy choice. And you know that life, you know when you were a kid and you just dreamed of how life would be when you're older, whether it be the amount of kids you have, the house you have, the car you drive, how you're gonna look, everything. You remember you have that kind of childish dream? Imagine one day you wake up and you look around and you didn't build that dream life. Instead, you went with the life that required the least resistance. And that's exactly the definition of settling with life. So the first thing I'm gonna touch bases on in this is because it was actually me and my homeboys that was chopping up about relationships. So the first thing we're gonna touch bases on is gonna be relationships. Basically, loneliness starts to make people confuse comfort with love. And what do I really mean by that? We've all heard of that fucking girl that she has a boyfriend that just cheats on her, or beats on her, or whatever, just does her fucking slimy, grimy, and she just stays. She always gets back with him, and everybody just looking at them like, how, like, is she retarded? But I'm not gonna go into like details of shit like that, the big red flags that you should cut somebody off, because I want to touch bases on the small things that one or two times it's not really a big deal, but with hindsight and experience, you realize that this is not the right person for you, right? And some of the reasons why people end up staying in these kind of toxic relationships is because first, some of these people you've already invested years, and or you're scared you might not find somebody better, you might not find somebody else at all. Maybe all your friends are single and they're kind of lonely, and you just like, at least I have somebody. That's not the decision. That's not kind of the mindset you want to have when it comes to somebody you're looking for a serious relationship with, especially if you're looking toward marriage or anything like that. Because the last thing you want to do is be with somebody for a long ass period of time, and then 10 years down the line you realize that the amount of time, effort, and mental capacity that you had fucking wasted on this bitch, that you could have got that back and maybe even been farther in life. Because the last thing you want to do is let a bitch hold you back from your purpose. If you're if you're a female listening to this, the last thing you want to do is have a guy or a dude hold you back from whatever you have set. But this happens to a lot of us, and what I kind of go by, bro, well, I think of the financial aspect of this shit. That what really turns me off from ever doing that type of shit. I could never do that. I could never settle with a girl just because I'm scared of being lonely. And don't get me wrong, I'm not better than you guys. I've done it before in the past, but at the stage I am in life, I kind of know my worth a little bit better than when I was a fucking high schooler or a freshman in college. I know my worth way better than that. And I've realized being alone for 6 months, 7 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the fuck it is, being alone for that period of time is way more fucking affordable. It's way cheaper than being with a bitch that I'm wasting my time for 6 years, 10 years, whatever it ends up being. Because at the end of the day, you're going on dates, you're doing this, you're doing that, you spend time with a family, you might be going on trips, you're doing a whole bunch of bullshit. There's somebody that in your head you're constantly trying to convince that they're the right person, and not just for being in not just being in a relationship or anything like that, but even your friends, your family, things of that nature. If you're constantly having to convince yourself that you're around the right person, you're with the right people, if you're constantly convincing yourself bullshit like that, get the fuck up out of there, bro. That's not the right girl for you. There's a reason why you're doing that. If she's on Instagram shaking ass, popping pussy, doing all this type of shit, if she's liking people's stories, if she's going to the club with her homegirls every day, cut the bitch off. Do not settle for anything. I don't give a fuck how bad the bitch is. Cut her off ASAP. Because at the end of the day, bro, you're not gonna get these years of your life back. Two is gonna be jobs. So employment is a little bit different because of course you gotta put food on the table, right? But if you're in a job where you constantly you hate every second of it, every single Monday you wake up, you're like, fuck. Like, this is the type of shit that you don't want to kind of surround yourself with for a long period of time. If you have to kind of hold your head down till you up and just work this job for now, by all means, do what you got to do. But you have 24 hours in a day. If you're in a dead end job that you hate with all your might, use 100% of your effort to build a situation for yourself to get up the fuck up out of there. For instance, well, but I used to work with my pops. We used to do construction, right? And just off the fact that I worked for my dad, I worked with my brother, I could come to work late, I could leave early sometimes, I could come back from work fried as fuck, and I know I wasn't gonna get fired. That kind of gave me a sense of just being comfortable where I didn't want to look for a new job. I have people in my friend group that was making way more than me. You guys know I'm heavy into the gym. I had people telling me to come be a personal trainer and work with them and make this amount of money just off the fact that I didn't want to go and have any type of real structure. I just wanted to do whatever I want, and I was okay with the money I was making. It was 2, 3 years that had can't pass by that I was still stuck in the same situation I was since I started it. And I say this to say, if I was constantly just looking for another way out, and like I said, I didn't hate the job or anything like that, but I just realized that it wasn't for me. The amount of effort I was putting in every day, actually at work and things of that nature, I know I could probably put in half the effort for a job where I was personal training or doing sales, just something, right? I know I could find something that was way better than that, but just would require me to work a lot harder. And I say this to say, do not get stuck in that same cycle. If you're in a job that you know you have way more potential, but you just need the job for right now to pay your bills, work that job. But remember, you have 24 hours in your day. You can work, you can find a side hustle, you can start a clothing brand, you can trade stocks, you can do crypto, you can do whatever you decide you want to do on the side to make sure you have a route out of the fucking prison that you put yourself in just for this paycheck. Because if you keep on doing this and saying, hey, I'll eventually quit, I'll eventually stack up some money and I'll eventually quit, years pass by and then the paycheck ends up becoming the handcuff and the occupation that you're fucking stuck in ends up becoming a whole fucking prison. A stable paycheck isn't fucking freedom if you hate every fucking hour you spend making it. There's no point of making a certain amount of money if you have to work all day, you have no energy to do anything else, and you don't even get a chance to enjoy the money you make because what the fuck vacations do you really get? What the fuck time off do you really get? And when you do have a time off, what do you really do? Let's say you go on a trip for a week or anything like that, and you come back and you're back in the hellhole again. Keep in mind, for most of y'all gonna be working 40 hours every fucking week. And I would say just make sure you're trading away your life, basically. You're losing these 40 hours of your week. So make sure you're trading away these 40 hours for a life that you actually want, a life that you actually dreamt of, a life that you can actually sit back when you're 70, 80, 90 years old and look back on it like, I'm happy everything went the way it did. I'm happy with the way life went. I'm happy with the life I've built and the life I've had. The last thing you want to be is that fucking old head working at the job that's been here for 20, 25 years that's just fucking teaching all the new kids like how to do certain shit, and then you're looking at this guy like, how the fuck is he have 5 kids taking care of his family while I'm just saving up for my Beamer, right? That's the last fucking shit you want to be. Old heads K, but yeah. And that kind of brings me to the third topic. It's actually life in fucking general. Most people don't fail in life because they aren't capable. They fail in life because they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe a better path exists. They don't believe they can get that new job. They don't believe they can get into their dream college. They don't believe they can save up and buy their dream car. They don't believe in themselves. This is where people start to believe, like they start to settle. They start to settle. They settle physically. They don't. They want the dream physique, but they don't decide that hey, it's way easier for me to go to McDonald's than go home and cook an actual meal with whole protein and things of that nature. It's way easier for me to fucking come home from work tired as fuck and go to sleep instead of going to the fucking gym late night after work. It's way easier to stay with the girl that disrespects you every single day, that posts on Instagram and pops her ass that you've been going out with for 3, 4 years, than to go find a new girl and put in some new energy, start from the beginning to actually build something with somebody that actually respects you. Even settling financially. It's not settling financially in the moment. You don't think like, hey, I'm gonna go with this lower paying job just because it's easier. But you start off there because it's the only opportunity you have. And instead of using your free time when you're tired or got before work or anything like that, instead of using that time to kind of create a situation for yourself so you can get up out this job, whether it's a side hustle, whether you learn how to trade stocks, whether you fucking open up a clothing brand, whether you do anything, you could be with the same friend group for like 10 years and you outgrow every single one of them. But just on the fact that, first off, you're already friends with them, so you don't got to go reintroduce yourself to new people or anything like that. Or you don't want to kind of just cut them off and be fake or whatever. You kind of just stay in the same social or hierarchy, right? Instead of networking, meeting people who make more money than you, who are just doing better than you in life. They drive the car you want. They hang around the people you want. They go to places you want. They work at the places you want. Those are the people that you should strive to be around, not the same people that are holding you back. So I'm not saying that cut off all your friends now, but if you kind of feel like I told you, if you feel like you're settling, then that's a sign. If you're convincing yourself to stay with the people you're with now just because you're used to being around them and it's just off of comfortability, cut them off right fucking now. I promise you, you don't want to be stuck in certain situations. And then when you turn 50, when you turn 60, that you just realize that the only life that you were able to have was wasted just because you went with the easiest route instead of the route that created the dream life that you dreamt about since you was a kid. And to me, the most dangerous thing, you know how you always hear like, "Oh, don't say can't. Never say I can't do this. Never say can't." Right? To me, something that's a more dangerous sentence or phrase than "I can" is "I guess this is good enough." But yeah, at the end of the day, cuz you only get one life. Imagine being the version of yourself that never settled, the one that left the bad relationship, the one that got the fucking dream job, started their business, got in shape, took that risk. Would that version be proud of the choices you were making today? If they could see every single choice you make, none of us are perfect, but just keep in mind, keep this in your head. Comfort feels safe in the moment, but regret, that's just gonna last a lifetime. But yeah, overly tack, another food for thought. Sub, like, comment, and we out.